It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercers talk about some of the more common questions that those that collect tattoos and piercings may have. Brought to you in part by the fabulous Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. We're going to go through some more questions. It seems like we've been averaging 2 per episode. I remember when I looked at them earlier, I'm like, yeah, we'll get through all 6 of these in one episode now. We're in the 3rd episode and still have 2 more. So we're going to answer some more of those. So hold on. Just to let you know who's talking and who's here. We have Jimmy St. John of Skin Kitchen tattoo artist. Jack Lowe, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen and owner and operator. And I'm DaVo. I do body piercing and I own the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. And we all share space. We're communal.
And DaVo's available for parties.
Always.
Bar mitzvahs.
Yep.
Yeah.
His management has to come along. But
Retirement parties.
Brisk,
yeah.
just contact his handler,
Brist.
Jack Lowe.
I think it's Brist.
Oh.
Because I am a full-time professional tattoo artist and an amateur
I've never
race car
been to
driver.
bar mitzvahs, but I don't think I've ever been to a brisk.
I think that's when they chop the tip of the dick off.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's horrible.
Yeah. Well.
Ow. Religion's hard.
How cruel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it
Well.
was supposed to be all loving and accepting and stuff.
Let us know in the comments. Snipped or not snipped? No.
Yeah. I'm anti. I always have been. That's the one thing.
You're
that
for docking then, huh?
Me and my docking them. That's the one thing me and my son's mother totally agreed on.
I don't really
Like
have an
nothing
opinion.
else but that. We're like, no. Anyway, so should we move
So
on
we're
to the
already
question,
talking about
or talk
dick?
about,
we're
or talk
already
about
messing up.
circumcision?
We kind of left off right off the bat.
Lord.
The questions are going to seem really boring
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
I guess lay it on me.
Well, we could argue about, I mean.
Executive
anyway.
producer Jesse Strodenaire off camera there.
Yeah, with her sparkly hair that we didn't
Yeah, she has
notice.
tinsel in her hair, buddy. You can't see it because she won't get on camera, but she's got
No,
pretty tinsel.
yeah.
It's not that cool. You're not
Sparkly.
Oh, the look of pain and hurt on her
Like
face.
a birthday cake, but in your hair.
Yeah, I gotta go. I got a whole handful of buttons for that one.
So what's the next question, please?
Okay, the next question is from Max Horner. It would be nice to know how tattooing on different skin types works, extra precautions and such. Parentheses for my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different areas are, skin type changes a lot, probably more than you even think. Even on your forearm, going around the forearm, it changes a few times, and then as you go down, it gets different towards your wrist, and then your hand is completely different, and then it gets different when you go to your knuckles. So, but as far as I'm trying to figure out if he's, kind of what his question is like if
Are you
it's
talking about pigment or
like maybe like pain wise,
Right.
Well,
getting the tattoo in different areas. And can you read that question? I just want to make sure I hit it right.
It would be nice to know how tattooing on different skin types
Works.
Extra precautions and such.
Maybe for them or us. Well, we can cover both, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean,
do both.
people that have drier skin or less drier skin, and then pigment, and then different parts of the body. That's a really
if like you're getting your hands done and you've been digging in diesels your whole life, or your hands, you're a working dude or girl, and your hands are moisturize the crap out of them leading up to the tattoo. That helps a lot. I've had a couple of my clients do it, and it really does help the skin kind of. It doesn't have as much texture. So if you're looking at the skin and you turned it so you're looking across the skin, and you imagine, the more rough your skin is, that means the more peaks and valleys it has. And when that needle is going across that skin, it's going to hit the peaks harder than it's going to hit the valleys. So it's going to be harder to get a nice even grade, and it's just going to be more difficult to tattoo that way. So if the skin is just ready to go and accept that ink, it'll not only make the tattoo it's going to make the tattoo better in every way. It's going to go quicker, it's going to look better, it's going to heal better, and all that. But
because the skin's healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like tattooing a piece of smooth paper opposed to like a piece of sandpaper.
Yeah, like, the
don't wanna
tooth
write
of
on sandpaper.
any artist out there that's drawn on a heavy tooth paper, like a watercolor paper, versus a really, smooth piece of paper. It's the artwork looks
totally
different even if you put the same art on it. So
Absolutely.
skin's no different.
No.
You
no,
know,
it's completely the same.
But it's so preparation though wise, lotion, things like that. Really anywhere like knees and stuff, elbows that those can be
Tricky.
tougher, and the skin. It's almost like there's 2 or 3 types of skin all swirled together, and you kind of just gotta, use your best judgment.
Now, in the moisturizing, you're saying doing it leading up.
Yeah.
Before.
The day of, I was always told don't pack a bunch of lotion.
No, not
I'm
the
gonna wipe
day
it off,
of,
but yeah.
because we need the skin as kind of down to its natural goodness as possible. Any kind of grease or lotion or anything like that on
Clean
it.
off.
Yeah, and if it's something that doesn't like to clean off, or it affects the skin in a way that doesn't make it tacky enough to where we can get our stencil material to come off on it, and we're into tattooing you and it's the stencil smearing, it's going to take longer, and it's just going to be more of a process than if you come in just nice, freshly showered, clean, don't over lube the area at least, and
Not yet. Hold off.
yeah. But leading up, because every studio is different, so they've got a little lead time usually when they set up their appointment,
Right.
and I'll talk to them then, and say, hey, just when you think about it, and especially getting closer, few 3 weeks, but even starting now would be great.
Yep.
Just hit that thing a couple times a day with some moisturizer.
I like to
and make
remind the
that-
customers also when you're doing like your elbow or your hands, places where it is, more prone to have that weird skin.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if you have to come back in for like a touch up or a second session, especially if you're doing something really solid with solid color or solid black or,
Yeah.
because, it really takes, you got to put it all in. Your skin is not going to heal evenly because it's, it's a huge membrane. It's the biggest organ on your body.
Well, yeah.
So it's going to heal a little uneven and push out some ink here if you're towards the end where it's tired and you've
Well, not
maybe
only
been
that-
tattooing for hours or whatever. But
But you've got something healing on a part of your body that you won't allow it.
Right,
You won't
exactly.
leave it alone because you can't. You got to use your
every time you
arms.
bend your arm, yeah.
So yeah, you're bending your elbow and your ditch and everything, and hands and fingers, knees.
And I've heard some customers over the years like, oh, must not have been a very good tattoo artist. Like, oh, he could be the greatest tattoo artist, but when you're tattooing like you got a solid Maltese cross on your elbow,
Right.
and he hit it one time, it looks great for one time hit, but it doesn't look completely consistent and smooth. It's got light spots or whatever.
Right.
It needs a second, pass over
and
to
that's
kind
not-
of even it out, and that's not uncommon.
That's true. I mean, there is kind of this stigma that if your tattoo, needs some tightening up afterwards, or something about it needs a little extra bump or a little extra time, that somehow then that was a failed thing.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
I could see that maybe being back in the days of the Tasmanian Devil and the
yeah.
Dolphins, relatively straight to the point,
But these
simple
large
compared
custom
to the
pieces.
things that we're doing now. But like things we're doing now and how far we're pushing the skin and the techniques that we need to use, push the skin to the absolute limit.
Yes.
And there are some techniques that you can't do until the second time around.
Right.
Yeah.
So, those things have kind of changed.
Yeah.
And I haven't had any trouble with it at all, like people being like,
No, my customers have been great, but I've heard it said a few
Yeah,
times.
sure.
And also on that, like it's like back in the day when we did the Tasmanian Devils, you were doing a Mako paint job on a car.
kind of,
You were painting it to drive to work or whatever. We're putting like the stuff we're putting on now. I see more as like the Lowrider magazine custom paint jobs with the
Right.
metal flake and the scallops and the scales and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about anything like that, like them guys don't come in and just paint it and be done.
Mm-hmm.
You got to paint it.
There's a
and then they
process
come
to it.
back and they polish it and clean it and wet sand and this and
Add in
it
highlights.
takes a
or-
lot of work to get it to that point.
And if you were driving that car, we'll stick with the analogy.
Yeah.
While that paint was curing, well, man, you got caught in the rain for an hour. This paint wasn't curing,
Sand,
so now it
Bugs,
needs.
dirt.
bugs.
Now it needs that. This is the same thing, how do feet heal? Well,
It
they can
depends.
heal perfect, but what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a nurse. Well, then you're fucked.
Yeah, because you're in your shoes and on your
Because
feet constantly.
You work harder than you're in the top 5% of hardworking motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
And
are on
thank
your feet
you.
constantly, and it's going to be tough. Now, we do have the new bandaging
Yep.
that helps a ton with,
Right.
healing hard areas, but that still
hard
doesn't
to
just
stick.
solve it 100%.
Yeah, it's still hard to keep it on like your elbow and stuff because it bends so much.
Yeah,
it
you're
does
constantly
problems.
disturbing that scab and that healing process. And right as it's, making some connection, building some tissue, you bend your elbow and it rips it back apart.
Yeah.
So now it's got to re-heal again, and you're doing that over and over and over and over again, and then it's getting annoying, and then find yourself doing this, and you're like, oh crap, and then it falls
Just
off.
as a side note out there in TV land,
Just happens.
kind of throw that in there.
Well, I mean, it's like we've all experienced it in the middle of, if you live in a cold region of the area where there's lots of dry heat or dry cold, where you bend your fingers and you can feel it it's painful. And that's the same thing with elbows and et cetera. The more moisturized that area is, the more flexibility you're going to have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the things I think maybe, I'm trying to dig into this question and figure out what they were asking about. Pre-existing skin conditions, like maybe they're more prone to dry skin or to being to scarring or anything like that. That stuff you need to discuss with your artist during a consultation.
Definitely make them aware
so that they can adjust and move to what's going to work best.
Or recommend you to go to a dermatologist and talk to them first to see, if your skin's healthy enough or if it's a good idea for you to even get tattooed.
Yeah.
As far as tattooing on the body, like the skin changes, like you were talking about earlier. Like if you're tattooing the outside of the forearm, it's a little tougher. It's tougher skin. It's a little more rugged. You can do some stuff to it. Once you get up like in the ditch area, it's very soft. It's very thin skin. If you don't pull back and tattoo a lot easier on it, if you just hit it like you're hitting that outside of that forearm, dude, it's going to blow out. It's going to turn out into a mess.
And at the same time, that skin is rubbery and kind of resilient. It's meant to be stretched and pulled, so it's different than the skin around it.
Right.
So you've got to be aggressive, but not too aggressive.
Aggressive.
It's a real, it's just a different area that it tolerates the process differently, and
doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and then
no, not at all.
And on top of that, then it's tough to heal. So it's got got a couple of knocks going against it. But with the technology that we have and the skill of a lot of the artists that are out there doing work, it's night and day different than 20 years ago. When we had all that.
In certain areas of the body need a little more attention to heal than others. And if you have a good artist, they're going to explain that to you. And they're going to because their end result is they want that thing to heal up perfectly.
Their name's on it too.
Yeah.
It's like a video game. You got the starting out, the novice. You got the all the way to the veteran. You know what I mean? There's spots on the body to get tattooed and to heal it. There's some like veteran professional spots to take care of, get tattooed, and to heal. And there's some novice spots, like, that you could almost
easier.
You could almost not mess it up no matter what you do.
No, don't go there.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, it's very hard to mess up.
The same
well,
way.
if you're a professional, yeah.
Like one of the reasons why ear piercings are probably the most popular piercing on the planet is it's an easy piercing to heal.
Right.
But yet, like an industrial piercing that's helix to helix, that's a lot more complicated and takes a lot more to do.
That's more expert level.
Yeah, and I've been. I need to. Well, I've done videos about that in the past, but there are some that I consider more of an expert style piercing. And when I have a client come in and ask for that for the first one, I try to kind of go, this is going to be a little more involved than you think it's going to be.
And with that being said, don't think that there's people out there that can't mess up the beginner one.
Oh,
they are.
They
there's the special people that could mess up anything.
Yeah.
Two-car funeral,
and
screwed it up.
We're dealing with the human body, which is such a.
Everyone is different.
It does its own thing when it wants to.
It's guesswork, but it's
educated.
Exactly. There's a good word for that, but and then you've got on top of all that, then you have the health of the person who's got the tattoo. How well are they healing? Are they fighting off something inside to where their white blood cells are getting pounded and it's going to prolong the healing, and so that's more opportunity for them to damage it. Some people heal like Wolverine. They swear to God they never had a flake come off of it. And it was just done. So there's a lot of factors. So the areas, armpits, elbows, ditch, wrist, hands, feet, knees,
face.
Face is, I'd say quickly those are the trickier spots. And a good artist not only knows how to tattoo those areas, but he'll know what to tattoo on those areas.
Right.
So you're not trying to, make a Porsche out of a Tonka toy.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It can look great, but it has to be included and tattooed not only the right way, but with the right thing.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to put like a portrait on your elbow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to use the elbow as part of the design that's a supportive role for what's really going on. And or maybe even something like I learned this from Guy Atchison years and years and years and years ago when I took a seminar. Do something on the elbow or the knuckles or whatever it is that looks okay if it falls out a bit.
Yep.
You know, it looks natural, like, you know, some sort of rocky structure or something with a lot of texture. It's not gonna stand out the way it would if you had a woman's face and you had your elbow right here on her cheek or something, you know?
Now, anybody out there listening to that's going to cost you $59.95 for that little bit of information.
Right.
But
All you
just kidding.
artists out there.
Here's the thing: is like the design will be adjusted to your skin type. The same comes down to pigment.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking through pigment, you're looking through, like you've always explained, was a glass window. So the darker the pigment, the more that
Tinted window, you know.
the more that, you know, really
didn't see
subtle
something.
stuff is not going to work out. The other thing is, you know, the history of your skin.
Right.
If you are prone to like keloiding or scarring of that type, then you need to talk to your artist about that.
Yeah.
And a dermatologist probably, because the
Absolutely.
chances are is no matter how skilled the artist is or what have you, if you have that pre-existing condition, it's going to affect how that tattoo turns out, regardless of what anybody does.
Maybe your artist
Always.
will want to do your tattoo in maybe smaller steps, so there's less damage done at a time. You know, maybe an initial outline. You know, see how it goes and build that way, and you can work out a strategy if there's not something that
Give the body every opportunity to do its thing.
Yeah.
Best it can do.
And just to explain this, because keloid is one of the most misused terms on the internet. A keloid scar is hereditary in most cases or genetic. It is a situation where you get a cut or a wound and your body produces a scar that is much larger than the wound.
It looks like a weld almost on the skin.
Yes, and it'll bubble up kind of, and it'll usually be 3D. If you have a bump next to something, that is not a keloid, especially if it goes away.
Like your nostril.
So all of us, we're close. We rarely tattoo anybody that, well, nobody in the state of Iowa can be tattooed that isn't an adult. During that 18 years of life, or 16 or whatever, depending on where you live, you should have a pretty good understanding of what scrapes, scratches, cuts, etc. have done to your skin during that period of time. If you've had different reactions than other people, that is definitely something you need to discuss with your artist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know back in the day, I had a lot of friends that had like diabetes and whatnot. And man, I was on pins and needles when I would tattoo them, like further away, like especially on their extremities, like down by their ankles or stuff like that, where they don't get as good circulation. Oh man, it would terrify me. Like I'd call them, you know, hey man, how's that tattoo doing? Is it looking good? You know, you been to the doctor? You checked everything's cool? All right, cool. You know, just until I got really comfortable with it. Like, you know, the new techniques and machines and stuff we have now are way different. But back in the day, it terrified me.
Yeah.
I was so afraid something would happen.
And you have good diabetics, and then you have so what diabetics. You know
that's what I'm saying. They were my friends, so you know.
Right.
They would start.
So we know which one they were, but yeah, it's such a union between you as the wearer and the other person.
It's a team effort.
You know, it not one can just be on board and have a successful project and a finished result. It takes both of you.
Yeah.
And I've come across clients that they just put it all on you. You know, you can tell they're not taking care of it right. They're kind of just blowing it off because hey, you can just
Fix it or whatever.
And that's bullshit.
Well, it makes it hard. It puts a lot more on us.
As experts, though, it's partly because we have to learn how to rein in those expectations,
right?
So that we can produce a product that's going to be realistically heal right and do well. So somebody coming in that's maybe has a darker pigment but wants like the 16 chapel on their back. Well, yeah, you can do that, but it's not going to be like...
It's not going to translate well.
It's not going to translate the same way as like maybe something a little bit bolder, a little bit different, that has more of the darker lines and more, depending.
Yeah.
It all varies, you know?
Absolutely.
People will kind of some people will come from I've had this car in my garage for 50 years. It was my old man's. It has to look like this and be like this. I'm going to go to Jack and have it painted. I'm going to tell him exactly what I want. Well, you've got all this history and this emotion and all this stuff that you're putting into account to make this car look the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as, how can I make this car look the best?
And
So-
maybe on the car analogy, a good one would be is like we all watch the custom car shows where the guy comes in and he goes, I want this done, this done, this done, this done, this done, and I want it to look perfect, and I only have this much to spend.
Right.
While the guy's sitting there going, well, how the hell am I going to do this?
Yeah, you're really tying one hand behind my back.
Yeah.
So it's finding that middle ground and trying to get the client to understand, the reason you want that red isn't because you really want that red. It's because you just want some color and you thought maybe red right there would look cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just need to know that you want some color somewhere, because putting it in the eyes is fucking stupid. You know?
Yeah, it looks like they've been out drinking all night or whatever.
we can incorporate color into this and make it help the design, not hurt or hamper the design.
Yeah.
So it's, bringing those two together and making that work is just as important as anything.
Basically,
Remember,
it all
man.
comes down to the same thing. Find an artist you trust.
Yep.
Yeah, and that
'Cause
you
it's
can
a
work
two-man
with.
bobsled tournament. You know what I mean?
Yep. He's going to have his hand on the brake and the accelerator.
He's
so
driving
figure
and
it out.
braking. You're pushing. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty well on that one.
Yeah, I
Hopefully
think
we
so.
answered your question. What's the next one?
All right. The next one comes from Christopher Smith. And his question is it normal for a tattoo artist to charge a non-refundable deposit / drawing fee that doesn't go towards the tattoo cost?
Is it normal?
I've never heard of one not going towards your tattoo.
Listen,
Yeah.
what is that the
Yeah,
word they
that's
use? Normal?
Yeah.
Is it normal for a tattoo artist to
It's-
charge a non-refundable?
I wouldn't say it's normal or the
Standard.
standard by any means, but is it out of line or unusual? Absolutely not.
No.
The hours and the time spent on research for your tattoo, drawing your tattoo, redrawing your tattoo, refining your tattoo, making sure it flows and fits. I mean, we've talked about it before, how many hours go into that. Now, you as a customer have to decide if that's okay. If you understand that and you get it, because hey, whatever it takes to make this thing pop, I'll pay it because that I just want this thing great. Then good. And that artist has to consider, well, that's gonna, maybe a lot of people aren't going to dig that, and I'm not going to have as many clients, so maybe I just need to eat it a little more so I can keep my plate full, and that's not wrong either, because they maybe don't have as much clients, or they want to work more than this other artist, and charging this way he finds as many clients as he needs. So I mean, really, nothing's, I can't, there's things that some people may consider excessive, but if that's what the artist requires,
Yeah.
that's
their
what that
preference.
artist requires.
The only thing weird about that question to me was it doesn't go towards your, because we take a deposit here.
Yeah.
And like, okay, you want to do this large, half sleeve. All right, it's going to take us a whole day. So that's a whole day. That's 7 hours of my day. I'm blocking off for you and trust that you're going to come in. I'm not putting anybody else in there because it's your day. Now, if you don't call or you don't show, you don't get your deposit back here.
Exactly.
It's non-refundable because I've spent however many hours drawing your tattoo, and I have nothing to do that day, so I don't get paid because I'm waiting on you to show up, and you've decided, well, I'm not going to show up or call.
I think
Now that's reasonable,
Right.
but to take a deposit from me and it doesn't go towards your tattoo price, that's a little awkward.
here's what I think
me.
is maybe what's going on, or maybe it's the wording and explanation. When you guys price your tattoos, you're pricing on time, but we all know that part of that also involves the time that you spend drawing the tattoo, researching, preparing, etc. So it's kind of like you grouping all that payment together.
Right. Yeah, we're the price we charge to apply the tattoo already takes into account that we have to keep the lights on, the time we spend, behind the scenes preparing. Yeah, it's that much because of all that takes to put it on you, and we're not breaking it down to individual
Exactly.
times.
I think in this
Right.
case, what they're trying to do, or what maybe they're in their mind they're doing, is you're paying for the drawing portion
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that is technically
Separate.
going towards
Right.
it's
Separate
like a
time.
separate
Yeah.
thing. It'd be kind of like me charging a cleaning and sterilization
Yeah.
fee on top of my piercing
Right.
fee, jewelry, etc.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe this is an artist too, who does a full color study, gives you a 13 by 19 printout of, maybe they go to this extreme because maybe they feel they need to or have to, or their work turns
Yeah.
out better that way. And then on top of that, you are receiving or getting this kind of along with. It's really just kind of splitting hairs in a way,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
really, if you break it down, it's kind of like us. We'll spend all the time on the design and draw and do all that, and if you cancel within our, we give 24 hours to cancel. So if you're after that, well, then we'll keep the deposit.
Yeah.
So that kind of not only it doesn't pay for the design, it doesn't make up for the time, but it's something.
It eases
you know,
the pain a little bit. If
so
you have
we're
a whole
not
day blocked off, you know.
And 24 hours is a pretty fair amount of time for you to, you know, be able to get that back. But when you come in, that deposit does go towards the tattoo.
It goes towards the tattoo. Yeah, it comes off of the tattoo here.
But it's whatever you consider fair in whatever market you're in.
And that just shows us that you're serious too. Like, I want your whole day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, your whole day is, let's say, $1,000, you know, after it's all said and done. Well, if I ask you for $100 to hold that $1,000 day, first off, that comes off the $1,000. Second off, like, you're assuring me that you're going to come up for that whole day, that I'm not going to sit around doing nothing. And if you don't call or don't show, well, I got $100 instead of $1,000 that day, but at least I got something. I can eat lunch or whatever. And like I said, and you're getting kind of a discount, because if you look at it, I'm paying you $100 to hold a whole day, and I want a half sleeve. Chances are I'm going to spend 15 to more hours drawing that half sleeve, and I'm not charging you anywhere close to the hourly rate that I'm tattooing. For $100 to do 15 hours of work, like,
it's
pretty good, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like inclusive, and you guys.
Yeah, it would be like someone that's going to build you a house bills you separately for the time it took for him to make the boards.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, well, you could just he could consider, well, it takes me this long to make the boards, this long to make a house out of it. This is how much I'll do it for.
Right.
He's just breaking it down a bit and saying, well, no matter if you want this house or not, I cut all these boards to make your house, so you owe me.
Right.
Where, you know.
And I wonder if they've had a situation where if they do go through all the color work and all that stuff and do all this stuff and then send them a copy, if they've had issues with people.
Well,
taking
yeah, and
said
maybe that's
copy
maybe that's
and then
true.
going and getting tattooed by somebody else.
cheaper.
And they're out all this money to produce this art that they don't see any profit.
I don't send my artwork to the people that are tattooing until they come in to see it.
Yeah.
Well, that, and like, if I give you a drawing and you love it, it's exactly what you asked for. When you take it around for the next week and show it to all your buddies,
You're
going to have friends. Yeah, you got friends who I thought you wanted this. I thought you wanted that. I thought you wanted this. I would have done this different. I would have done that different. It's not their tattoo. First
now,
off.
we used to do, or I did for a while, or maybe whatever. But if you did want me to send you the artwork, that makes your deposit non-refundable.
Yeah,
because now you have the the work I did
in case you go to somewhere else
for nothing, and you can do anything you want with it.
Right.
I don't do free artwork for
I'm an artist for a living.
I don't know how many times when we saw it flash on the wall and you guys were still doing everything by hand, people would come in and, can I take a picture of it with my phone?
Right.
Absolutely not.
And then you'd never see them again.
Oh, of course
because
not. They're going to take it around to everybody else.
Yeah, they were sitting there.
You know how I know? Because people come into our shop showing us a picture of someone else's flash.
Exactly.
Or you see them again later.
How much for this thing? And it's like, okay, that looks like, what's her name?
Yeah, you shouldn't
That looks
do
like
that.
this person's flash or that person's flash. And it's like, okay, so you're just looking for the cheapest price.
That is the product. That is what we are selling in,
exactly.
We have to install it, but that is the product. So maybe that's his thinking. Well, I'm going to send you all this artwork as I draw, and we're going to be going back and forth, and we're going to be changing and doing, and that is time and process. Even if you don't get the tattoo, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, I'm working.
So yeah, I mean, I can see that. It's really it's just like anything. Hey, I'll give you $10 to shovel that pile of dirt. You couldn't pay me 20. Oh, okay. Next guy comes along, he would have done it for five.
Yeah.
So it's just what you're willing to.
And the thing is that I in my experience, if you have a really incredible drawing that some artist has done for you, and then you take it to somebody that's cheaper to do it, they're not going to be able to execute what that person, the first person would have done.
Not at all. No, not at all.
So you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot, because you're eventually going to have to go back to the original artist and hope that they can fix whatever.
How much it costs to make it look like it's supposed to?
And that's what happens when you're shady. You never get away with it. It always bites you some way.
Somewhere the karma comes in.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So
it really does.
So that's my two ideas on it. It's either and basically you got to understand it's a down payment.
Yeah.
It's like people ask me about piercing. It's like, well, I'm holding this time and I'm turning away anybody that walks in.
Right.
So it's a down payment to basically confirm that you're going to be here.
And
and if you aren't here, you're going to get punished.
It's a cold feet. It's a cold feet charge. Is all it is. Because we have so many people coming in going, oh man, bam, and like, I'll make an appointment. And then the next morning they wake up, they're in a different mood, and they don't really want it anymore, so they just don't show up. I mean, we don't take deposits because we just want to take deposits. We take deposits because it separates the people from that. Man, that'd be cool, but from the people that that, man, I really want to get a tattoo.
Right.
And so it saves you all of the hassle and all the wasted time and all the bull crap.
Yeah.
By just going, okay, if you're serious, give me some money.
Right.
That's what
Exactly. Because we have a lot of people every day. Hey man, I'd really like to do this eagle. I saw my dad with it. Blah, 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 and they talk to you for 3 hours about it. Like cool. And then you never see them again. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was a waste of money.
I'll be
3 hours.
outside smoking a cigarette, and I'll have somebody that walks up that looks like they haven't washed their clothes in 5 weeks, and just got off the bus.
You can't afford $150
and don't have holes in their shoes, and they're like, "Well, I want to get this big back piece here," and then it's like, okay, well, set up an appointment.
No, what you want, sir, is a conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
which is fine.
That's
Occasionally.
all right. Unless
If I got time for it.
I guess I am at work, so you got me there.
Yeah. But yeah, it really comes down to and we've all sold something fairly expensive, like a car or furniture or something, and you have like people contacting you like, "Oh, I'll be there in 15 minutes." Oh wait, my kid, called me, and I have to. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Don't sell it. And then meanwhile, you're blowing off all these other people, and then you never hear from the person.
It takes
That's why you
forever.
go. Okay, I'll hold it. But you got to send me $20
Drop me a deposit.
Yeah.
right now.
And that doesn't mean that if you don't show up, you get that money back.
No.
You
No,
that
you
money
paid
is
for that promise.
to say, hey, you're already paid for part of it,
Yeah.
and if you don't pick it up, then you just gave me that money for free.
Yeah, it's like layaway.
So I hold it and don't turn away
Exactly.
people that really want it.
I don't know if anybody remembers layaway, but back in your day, you
Yeah,
had layaway.
layaway.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't keep paying on it,
Same
it
thing.
went back on the shelves. They don't care how much you paid off of it. If you had one payment left and you didn't pay it, it went back on the shelf.
It's like
Doesn't matter.
Ta-da.
when you put things in pawn, if you
Yeah,
miss
man.
those monthly payments,
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. So
I can
there.
say another one like it, but I don't have that one. I sold that one.
Yeah, exactly. And that one's going to cost you 5 times more than I paid you for I paid you for that thing.
And be ready for that if you take the drawing to somebody else.
Yeah, it always
and you come back to
happens.
fix it. It's going to be more than it originally would usually
and you're going to have an angry artist.
because there's more work done.
Well, in my case, I left town. I moved away for a little bit and came back and had that group of people that were like, "Hey, man," they come in kind of sheepish.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I cheated on you, bro, but you were gone. I start making all these excuses. I'm like, hey,
no.
it's all right. What's up? And they would end up having a tattoo that I'd have to try to fix or cover or something like
Yes.
that. Or you have the people that are like, hey, man, yeah, man, I need this fixed. I came and talked to you about it, but like you wanted this much for it, and my buddy or this guy said, and now, and you're gonna not only go through more pain and discomfort and all that, but you're not gonna have as nice of a piece as you would have at the get go, and you're gonna pay even more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Than you would have in the first place.
I had a guy ask me that. He was like, "Why is it more now?" I'm like, "Because it takes a lot more work to cover up and fix what's done than just doing it right the first time, man." Like,
Yeah, it's like
And I always tell them, because I have people like, well, I came in to get a piercing from you, but I thought you were too expensive, so I went to this other place, and they'll come back and they're like, this jewelry fell apart, whatever, and I'll fix it because I'm happy to do that, and they'll be like apologizing all the time. I'm like, here, you know better now.
Yeah.
Now, if you do this again, then
Now
I have
shame
a
on you.
reason to be upset.
right. Yeah.
But now you know.
everybody makes a mistake, man. It's
Yeah.
not there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah, there's always there's always the people that don't fall in line with
Right.
the normal thing, but usually you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And something in the back of your head's got to be telling you that.
Right.
But it's really pretty true in the tattoo industry. There are gougers, but there's way fewer of them now because there's so many talented people out there doing this that they can't get away with it
They're
anymore.
not going to survive for
No.
very long. It's
No,
like the
they take
crappy
care of
tattoo
themselves.
artist.
So and that all comes down to doing your research, like we've
Totally.
talked about, and all that, and finding a good
I
artist.
don't understand why I'm not busy. Well, it's because you don't do your job right. That's probably
not
why.
good at it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I think we covered that one or those two questions.
I
pretty
think them
well.
questions
I
handled.
think we did good.
We put them in the barn.
So we're done patting ourselves on the back. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. Share with other people. It's because everybody wants to be a Sharon, not a Karen.
Yeah, don't be a Karen. That's a nice one.
It's a beautiful name,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
unfortunately,
Just don't be the.
Now, if you have any questions, leave a comment, especially on our YouTube channel. I usually pay attention to that when I can. I'm probably going to continue to do this thing where we post on the community board because I think it works better that way. If you'd like to share something with us, of course, comment. Also, check out our merch store if you like t-shirts and such. But other than that,
Yeah, and if if David didn't make it clear, ask us questions.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, man, if somebody
If
don't know.
something we were talking about sparked a question while you were watching, just type it away and down below or whatever, and we'll get to it eventually.
and
love
thank
to
you
hear
very much to the viewers that did submit questions.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
really
Thank
helps
you.
a lot. So a lot of times we're sitting here beating our heads like, what are we gonna talk
people
about?
They were all
No.
good questions too.
Yes.
All of them.
Yep.
Well, and then until next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Have a good one, guys. Be nice.